feeling not alone is, I think, the number one thing I can provide women during that time. Yes, I want to help you rehab your abs and I want to help you get back to a healing space in your body and feeling good. Sure, of course. But I really want you to feel seen and heard and loved and supported and know that you're not broken. And I think that that's what I try with my platform to provide. Remind you that you're powerful and beautiful and strong and that like this is a phase and you'll get through it.
Welcome to the Shaping Freedom podcast, where we dive into conversations that inspire personal growth, transformation, and clarity in challenging times. I'm your host, Lisane Basquiat. Today's conversation is with someone who speaks honestly about a topic that so many women carry quietly: how our bodies, our energy, and our identities shift after having children. This was actually the reason why I reached out to this woman, was because she is a global fitness coach, a former competitive runner, a content creator, and a mother. Her name is Britany Williams. She's also a woman who lives with rheumatoid arthritis and still shows up for women every day with realness, humor, and practical tools. What I admire most about Britany is her willingness to talk about the tension between expectations and reality, the pressure to bounce back, and the grief that can come with losing who you once were, and the courage that it takes to rebuild a relationship with yourself and with your body after pregnancy and after life transitions. That was really the reason why I wanted to have this conversation with Britany, was because I have followed her for some time, at least a couple of years, and I noticed her talking so candidly about this experience she was having as someone who's very dedicated to taking care of her body and to working out and to sharing that with other people, that she was willing to just vulnerably share how challenging it was to bounce back. So this is a conversation about presence. It's a conversation about listening to your body instead of performing for the world, and about generosity and sharing. It's also about the freedom that comes from honoring the woman that you are today, not the one that you think you should be. Britany Williams, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. What a beautiful intro. I love that.
Yeah.
It got me inspired. And even though I'm like, yes, all those things, like let's do it.
That was the intention. And so the guiding question, and I always have like an overarching question that I would like that I intend for the conversation to answer. And that's like, how do you stay connected to yourself, to your body, to your identity, and to your purpose when motherhood and life transitions demand so much of you?
Yeah, I think I truly believe that you can't pour from an empty cup. And I think that what fills up your individual cup is going to change through seasons of life.
That's right.
And so I think for me, it's being in tune with what fills up my cup in any given moment. And that may change over the course of a year, over the course of a day. It's easy for me as a fitness trainer to sit here and say, oh, fitness fills up my cup and it just makes me feel like I'm so powerful and wonderful. But there are days where working out isn't the solve. And what I really need is a quiet 30 minutes to shower and shave my underarms by myself without my toddler trying to want to get in the shower with me. Like sometimes that's what fills up my cup. And I think for me, it's honoring what my body needs in the moment, and finding balance between what do I have to do, either for myself, my own health, for my child and my husband, or just work. And then what do I want and need and am I craving, and kind of finding that balance is kind of how I honor that.
Yeah. How old is your baby now?
She's 2.5 going on 13.
That's right. Mm-hmm, and it's going to continue. That's how it goes.
Yeah. She is strong-willed like her mom. We just finished potty training her. And I think that all the talk of like, oh, you're a big girl now, and like big girls use the potty, she took it very literally. And now everything is like, well, I'm a big girl now, so I'm gonna it's almost like it backfired. Like
you said I'm a big girl, and therefore
you said I'm a big girl. I got rid of the diapers. Like now I can,
use
a steak knife, obviously. Yeah.
I want to go back a little bit just to kind of help people understand like who you are, like who
Yeah,
is Britany
absolutely.
Williams, right? And so as I mentioned to you before we started recording, as I was doing some research, I learned that part of your story is being a competitive runner and living with rheumatoid arthritis since you were 13. And
Yeah,
then also building a corporate career and then transitioning into fitness full time.
totally.
So I don't ask you the like, tell me your whole life story, right? What parts of your identity have carried you through each one of those shifts? And what about that journey would you like to share with us?
Yeah, I think, oh, that's a great way of phrasing that question. I think the red thread in my multiple careers, in my time as a competitive runner, and I think as a young athletic child getting diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, is that there are going to be obstacles, but you have to find a way to the other side. Like you
Yeah.
cannot sit in your hardness. I think that's one of the beauties, if there is a silver lining of getting diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and I do have it pretty severely in multiple joints at such a young age, is that I kind of sat with myself at 13 and had the very, sobering conversation with myself that said, okay, you're going to have this disease for the rest of your life. Most likely, they're not going to come up with a cure in my lifetime. So, what are you going to do about it? Like, it's like I was very athletic. I played soccer, I ran. Like, the concept of slowing down wasn't really an option at 13. You mean at 13, right?
Yeah.
Like, you just want to play and do things. And so, I never really took it as okay, I have to slow down because I have this disease. It was always I have to find a way to make it work with this disease. And I think now in my work, when I see women who are diagnosed older in life, it's harder to feel that way because it feels like you're broken. And pregnancy can feel the same way. Like it just feels like everything comes unraveled when it happens, and you're kind of struggling to find your new normal. And I think that if one can be blessed to be diagnosed with an autoimmune disease at an early age, I think that is the blessing, that you kind of learn to manage it because you know you're going to grow up with it and you kind of know that you have to find a way. I can't just sit and wallow. That kind of has really gotten me through a lot. So with competitive running, having a major disadvantage of having rheumatoid arthritis in my knees and in my ankles and my feet and my toes and all the things, knowing that I'm going to have to work hard, knowing that I'm going to have to treat my body special. And,
Mm.
that was a red thread, an obstacle to get over. And then I think that in transitioning careers, so I worked for Under Armour in their corporate office for 12 years before working for myself as a fitness trainer and a content creator. Just understanding that obstacles aren't something to be scared of, and that they're simply where you have to stop and say, okay, how am I going to get to the other side? It may not happen today. It may happen 5 years from now. It's not a quick process, especially when you're trying to climb the corporate ladder or trying to make it on social media or as a podcaster or any of those kind of like breaking into a space. Kind of the slow process of like you just have to take it as it comes, and you have
Mm.
to be willing to pivot and be flexible and try new things until you find what works and to find your kind of balance. And I think my arthritis really taught me that. I talked to a lot of people about the medications that I take, and I've been taking the same medications for 20 years now, but the first 10 years took a very long time to figure out. Maybe not 10 years, I haven't had it for 30 years, but like it took a very long time to figure out. And it was a lot of trial and error and a lot of hard, painful days. But then I got there. And that tenacity, that perseverance, I think is something that has been a red thread in my life since that early age.
That is a very wise and mature conversation to have
Mm-hmm.
with yourself at that
Mm-hmm.
early an age, where
Yeah.
you seem to have come to a crossroad and made a decision that, you know what, okay, this is the thing. What are we going to do about it? How are we going to move
Yeah.
through it? How are we going to make sure that we get to where we want to go in spite of,
Yeah.
this
Yeah. And it's
situation?
and I think my mom, part of it was from her. I think I remember when I first kind of got my diagnosis and you're going to the doctor, and the medication I take requires you to give yourself injections. And back then it was like you had to like mix up the whole, like now it's like you just stick it and go, but back then I had to like actually make the medication myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the doctor was like, and I had to inject it in my butt. And the doctor or the nurse said like, hey, to my mom, do you want to help her? Like, do you want to see how this is done? She was like, no, you're telling me she's going to have to do this every week for the rest of her life? And the nurse was like, yeah, probably. And she's like, no, I don't need to do it. Like, teach her. She's 13. Like, teach her how to do it, because like she's going to have to be the one who goes off to college and does it herself and lives by herself. And I think that just from the beginning, and she didn't do that in like a tough love, you're on your own way. She was very supportive, but I definitely always came from it of like, okay, I've got this. It was never like oh, woe is me. And I'm really thankful that she did that.
Yeah, that's an incredibly helpful thing, right? Because sometimes as parents, parents attempt to shield their children from certain things. And what you wind up doing, if you're not careful, is creating an obstacle for that 100%. Person by not allowing 100%. Them to live with the reality of what's going on. You know, shielding them does not help. You're generous.
Yeah.
You're generous.
Yeah.
I see you as generous. So you're working in corporate, you work for Under Armour, you're doing the things, you're climbing the ladder. We all know what that's, some of us know what that's like. It's
the grind.
It's a thing for sure. I was in corporate for 23 years. And then you make the decision to transition into fitness full time, and then to become a content creator. What led to those decisions?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I truly thought I was going to be at Under Armour for life. I always say I was drinking the Kool-Aid, brewing it in my backyard, like just truly was in love with the industry. And if it wasn't Under Armour, it was going to be Nike, Adidas, something else. So she was truly in love with the industry and was in love with the idea of becoming a vice president, becoming C-suite at a business and a big brand. And I started fitness training when I moved to Portland, Oregon. I had no background in fitness other than being a competitive runner, but like running is running. It is not lifting dumbbells that are two very different things. But I was just taking these fitness classes myself to meet people when I first moved here to Portland. And then I just got I got the itch that I wanted to scratch of like, I think I could do this. Like I really enjoy public speaking, getting up in front of people. And so I decided to become a trainer on the side. So it was never 0% meant to be a career. It was always just, I have a passion. Why not monetize the passion? And then you snowball that into, wait, I really like this passion. And when I got the opportunity to partner with an app called Sweat, the Sweat app is where I now exclusively host all of my digital workouts. I still teach in person some, but digitally, that's where the majority of people are working out with me across the globe. That kind of opened or introduced me to the world in a way that also opened up these opportunities where I'm no longer just a trainer in Portland, Oregon, and I have the opportunity to impact women's lives across the globe and have these conversations with women in, Japan and Australia and Norway. And just like overnight, kind of once it kind of went live that I was partnering with Sweat, I suddenly was reaching so many women, and I got this really big pull to help women. And I think that I always felt like I was helping women in a way. Like I'm selling shirts and shoes. I was in sales at Under Armour. So like I was selling shirts and shoes, and I was getting great product into great stores, but this met them exactly where it's at. Instead of helping you be comfortable in a good shirt that is moisture wicking or a shoe that lets you run your first marathon, this was me holding your hand while you were doing those workouts. And so I did them both full-time for a year, which I do not recommend doing 2 full-time jobs if you don't have to. But I knew that I once I got that, again, the itch again of like, wait, this is an opportunity of a lifetime to be able to work for myself, to be able to inspire women and motivate women via social media and via my workouts. Like, that's just an opportunity that I wasn't prepared to pass up. Like I have to try. I can always go back. Like Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, those types of companies will always be there. But this kind of like once in a lifetime opportunity to make financially enough money and also be able to just like have fun and be creative. So I just took the plunge, and I've been doing it now for 5 years and still at it and still love it and kind of no signs of stopping.
And how did you move into the content creation part? Was that just the natural
It just kind of naturally happened. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So with Sweat, from a contractual perspective, there is an obligation of like, hey, you've got to market on social media because that's where everything markets, And so I had already created a social media account and was already kind of building an internet presence. But like for frame of reference, I had, I think, 4,000 followers when I started with Sweat. And I think I ended that year with like 30,000. Like I think it definitely, like my initial push into becoming a content creator certainly started because of the doors that they opened. And then just as my workout programs got bigger, my following programs got bigger, and then the opportunities in content became bigger. And that's when I just kind of started balancing more of being just a fitness trainer to fitness training and content creation. I used to personal train in person. I used to teach like upwards to 12 to 13 classes, group fitness classes in person. And so as content creation grew, I did less of that and more balanced the two worlds. And now I kind of sit with a balance between the two.
Yeah. And so what is it that you want to do for women globally?
I want to motivate them to live their best life. And I kind of, when I say that, it's so cliche, but it's truly, for me, the three kind of stakes in the ground that I believe in are motherhood, fitness, and then just general well-being. So kind of like I said at the top of our conversation of just filling your own cup. I want to motivate women to not feel guilty or shamed for taking the time to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I think that most women are going to have their first handshake into the world of Britany Williams through fitness. That's where most people find me. And then I think most people stay because I'm very realistic and open and honest, and I try to point out the silliness in what we are all going through and the humor of being human. And for me, I'm trying to help women not take themselves so seriously, but also take their goals seriously, and then kind of finding the in-between or the intersection of that.
And how do you yourself find, and I assume that it's kind of it's a habit for you at this point, right?
Yeah.
What do you do to motivate yourself when maybe your body is acting up, doing something different than what you'd like it to do, or when you're tired or whatever those things are? What do you do?
Yeah, I really focus on consistency instead of intensity. I think a lot of women think that to motivate yourself, you're motivating yourself for that perfect scenario. So if we're going to use the example of a workout, my workout plan says I have to work out 5 days a week. In our heads, it has to be an hour. I have to maybe go to the gym. I have to do all of these things. And like, yes, if you have certain goals, especially if they are specific to changing the way that your body looks and feels, there is going to be certain types of workouts and a certain length of time and a certain amount of weight that you're going to have to lift to get there. But I don't think that should be the carrot that we go after. And I always try to just focus on, am I showing up today? And the good news is, hopefully for most people, myself, I have more good days than bad. And I know that like I'm training for life. I'm not trying to do some event or some race in a year or in 6 weeks. Like I truly want to feel good. I always say that my end goal is to be able to bust a groove and like to bust a move on my grandkids' wedding. My daughter's 2.5. So put us in perspective of like what I'm shooting for here. I've got many years to go until this happens, but like, can I be healthy and fit enough to be mobile then? Okay, I'm in a long game here. So who cares? Who cares if Tuesday's workout wasn't good? That does not mean anything in the grand scheme of being fit in 50 years so that I can dance with my grandkids at their wedding. Like, it doesn't matter. And so what does matter is being healthy enough to be consistent. And so everything that I do, I just try to say, do your best with what you have right now. Does that mean I go through periods of time where I'm just doing 20-minute workouts, where I'm just doing body weight workouts? Absolutely. And sometimes I'll be honest, I feel a little like a fraud sometimes because here I am selling all these programs, some of which are like an hour long and they're really complex and they're doing all these things. And I'm like, but I'm barely making it 10 minutes in my skivvies on my yoga mat by my bed. But like, that's real life. And I try to have options for everyone because like, there are just going to be times in life where 10 minutes in your underwear at your bedside is all you've got. And like, you've got to be okay with that. So the motivation piece comes from not holding myself to a really, really high standard, knowing as long as it evens out in the end, meaning I have more good days than bad. And if you're having more bad days than good, then having the long, hard conversation with myself that something has to change. And I had that with myself recently, actually. I was shortening my workouts all the time. The way that my kind of schedule works is that I drop my daughter off at daycare. I work from home. So I come home, work, and then work out, and then work. And what was happening was that I was sitting in my workouts and my brain was already tinkering. I was already thinking about that email that I needed to send. I was already kind of half thinking about work.
Get out of my head, Britany.
I would just click end on my workout. Like, oh, I don't need to finish it. I can just end and go. And what I found was that my workouts were getting shorter and shorter. And because of that, I was kind of out of shape. Like, I'll be honest, I'm not in my best shape right now because I haven't really been giving it my all in my workout. So I kind of had to set myself down and say something has to change. And so I moved my workout times to be before I drop my daughter off at daycare, changing my bedtime so that like I can get still 8 hours of sleep, even though I'm waking up a little bit earlier because I refuse to cut sleep short in order to get a workout in. Like, do not pay Peter, rob Paul to pay Peter. What's the saying?
Don't rob Peter to pay Paul, or don't rob Paco to pay.
Nobody, okay?
Yeah, don't be robbing people. Just do the thing.
Yeah, don't be robbing people. Exactly. And it's just like you have to have this like sit down with yourself of saying like, wait, hold on. I'm having more bad, short, inconsistent workouts because clearly, and work is a priority. Like I have to honor that. I have to honor that if the email is ruminating in my brain that I need to go send it. And so giving myself space to say, okay, you do need to start work at 8:30 in the morning. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's find a way to still achieve your goals and get to work at 8:30 in the morning. And for me, that meant going to bed at 9:30 instead of 11, scrolling on TikToks late night, giggling, but knowing that I'm so much more fulfilled because now I don't feel rushed. And when I do have to pick my daughter up at daycare at 4:30, I'm not like, crap, I need one more hour of work. I'm getting it all done now. But that's a really hard conversation to have with yourself. But I try to check in with myself, I'd say at least 3 times a year. I'm like, is what I'm doing working? Like, am I happy? Like, am I motivated? If it's really hard to motivate yourself to work out or to diet or to whatever, that thing is that you're trying to implement from your habits, if it's really hard to motivate yourself, I actually say that like, maybe that's not what we do.
Yeah.
There's this, I think, crossroads between like, and it's a concept that there's a book called Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. He's a researcher, maybe at Stanford. I shouldn't even say the university because I don't know exactly which one. But it's this concept of like the best habits that you can apply are ones that are effective, right? They obviously are going to get you to your goal, but you can actually motivate yourself to do. And I think that's what a lot of women skip out on. They just think, oh, I hear that I need to be eating more protein because it's going to make me healthier. So like, I'm going to eat protein shakes. But if you absolutely hate protein shakes, if the thought of eating a protein shake is like repulsive to you, you're never going to do that for forever. Right. I can tell you that now. It's just not going to stick. So like, I think it's just as important for a habit to be effective, but also be easy to motivate yourself to do, and kind of finding that intersection of those two, I think is really important. Motivation shouldn't be hard. And if you are finding it hard, like I would actually just completely switch what you're trying to achieve. And that's a little like, oh my God, what? But like, it's never going to stick. If you don't want to go to the gym, I don't think that you should try to. Right. That's not, you might get there 5 years from now, but like, let's start with something that's achievable for you right now that you're going to enjoy. Because if I can get you to enjoy something about your health, whether that means getting to bed earlier or eating more carrots and vegetables, more fiber, like if I can get you to enjoy it, I can get you to do it long term, which is what we want. Yeah. I really am not interested in doing something for 30 days or doing something for 6 weeks. Like it just, I don't care about short-term results. I'm trying to bust a move, to Usher or whatever they play, as my throwback on my kid's wedding dance floor. Like that's what I'm trying to do.
It's thank you for sharing that. I had a conversation with someone. I've struggled with consistency, and a lot of it is because I travel so much and blah, 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 right? We all have a reason. Yeah. And I was having a conversation with someone at a dinner party on Sunday. And this is a person who has been in shape forever, like in amazing shape. And I'm chit-chatting. We're sitting at the table. We're talking about like working out or whatever. And this person shared that the person said, and it was like a moment for me. The person said, well, I work out in the afternoon because I don't want to work out in the morning. In the morning, I want to wake up. Like, that's just the way my body is. So I wait until the afternoon. And for the first 45 minutes that I'm in the gym, I'm fartsing around. I'm thinking, I'm listening to music, I'm dancing. I'm like, yeah. And sometimes I get there and I go right for it.
Yep.
Right. And other times I'll go and I'll kind of farts around for a bit, and then I'll, get my workout in, and I kind of adjust to whatever it is that I'm feeling. But for me, it's about the consistency of making sure that I get there, because it's not just about the workout. It's about the entire experience of spending that time with myself and allowing myself that container in the middle of a day. And it was for me, Britany, because I've never been a person who wants to work out early in the morning. I just don't. There are other things that I like to do in the morning. And what I realized through that conversation was that for some reason, and I don't know why, and I'm so happy that this person and I had this conversation, for some reason, I had been trying to fit myself into, you got to do it this way. When for the entirety of my life, during the times that I have been in amazing shape, I've always worked out in the latter part of the day, right? A late afternoon workout. I'm all about that. It feels good. And so it really it was the thing I needed to hear, coupled to with what you're saying to me today, to all of us today. I'm being very selfish about this. I'm like, Britany's telling me. But I know there were other people who are listening who are struggling with the same thing. And so thank you for sharing that. Figure out what's right for you. And also that check-in with ourselves a couple of times a year about working out and about anything. Like, am I happy? Hey, it's Lisane. I created Protect Your Peace, a boundaries and accountability workshop, because I know what it's like to feel stretched too thin, and how it feels when you're saying yes to everyone else, but feel like you're disappearing in the process. This workshop is your invitation to pause and to come back to you. In just 2 hours, you'll learn how to set boundaries that reflect your values, protect your energy, and strengthen your voice unapologetically. You'll also learn how to hold yourself accountable in a way that builds self-trust and momentum, not burnout. This is the kind of space I wish I had when I was deep in the cycle of over-responsibility and simply just doing too much. So I created it for you. Join me for Protect Your Peace, live or on demand, and walk away with tools you can use immediately to get back in alignment. Click the link in the show notes to register. You deserve to protect your peace and your power.
Especially as women, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves that success looks a certain way, and that what it looks like may be different for every individual person. But generally, I think that we kind of can close our eyes. And it's funny, I actually had an event last night, and I went through this, like I was a speaker at an event, and I had the participants go through this exercise. I'm like, write down what your perfect plan is for sleep, nutrition, hydration, exercise, movement, whatever it is, your health kind of focus. Write your plan A. Because everyone has it. It does not take a lot of time to, exactly what you like your plan to look like. And I said, okay, well, fun fact, the holidays are coming. And the next 6 weeks, we've got travel, we've got delays, we've got all of the things. That ain't happening, hun. Yeah. Can we all agree that plan A is not happening? I was like, all right, so write down a plan B. What does your plan B look like? Like, what can you actually, truly achieve realistically? And then they write it down. I'm like, okay, I feel good. And I go, and that's probably not going to happen either. So now I need you to write your plan C, because realistically, that plan A happens 3 days a month.
Yeah.
And we focus and we obsess over what that plan A looks like. And we think that if we can just get there, that all the stars will align and that I'll just be grooving and firing on all cylinders. And I'm not saying don't aspire for that, but have a plan B and plan C in your back pocket. Shoot for the moon, but when you land upon the stars, I think that giving yourself permission for that to be enough. You may say, I want to work out in the morning, but I'm the kind of person who works out in the afternoon. Give yourself permission to work out in the afternoon. Even if you are, let's say, going to try to work out in the morning in this hypothetical world I've built for you, like, giving yourself permission that your plan B is to do it in the afternoon makes it not feel like a failure.
Right.
Because once you've given yourself permission that if I can't hit perfect, I still have a plan B and a plan C. If you land on the plan B and plan C and didn't plan for it, you're going to feel not great.
Exactly.
Right? You're like, oh, I was shooting for 5 days a week this week and I only did 3. And now I feel like a failure. And you're going to feel about it. And that's what really hurts our motivation and our consistency. But if you say, I want 5 days, but realistically, looking at my work schedule, I'm traveling this week, 3 is going to have to be it. You're going to do 3 and actually feel good about yourself. And I think that that's the feeling that we should chase, is like, what's going to make me feel good about what I'm doing? What's going to make me feel prideful and accomplished, more so than what pressure has society put on me to think I should be doing.
Right. Because there's more detriment to living out of integrity with yourself in this created
100%
world that, as you said before, right? This world that you create where like working out for me or fitness for me is getting up at 2:00 in the morning and working out for 4 hours. And that's the thing I should be doing. When in fact, you're starting at a detriment. You're behind already because you're not going to do that. And then the angst that you wind up being in with yourself.
Yes.
All day, every day, because you did not accomplish this thing that you really didn't consider yourself for, isn't worth it.
And then it gets certainly not apples to apples, but like it also just undoes all the benefit of the thing in the first place. Like, if you think that you have to work out in the morning and working out is great for endorphins, you're like, well, then it'll just get out of the way and I'll be calm and cool and collected for the rest of my day and I'll be energized. But the stress that it puts on your body, if you are not the kind of person who wants to work out in the morning, the stress that it's going to put on you, the anxiety, the dragging your feet, the probably less sleep that you're going to get in order to get that done, it completely counteracts any of the positive, but not all of the positive benefits, but a lot of the positive benefits that you get from the workout, the feeling stuff. Like you've got to follow what your gut says about who you are as a person and about what's going to support you as a person. And again, like I said, yes, there are certain things that you are going to need to strive for when it comes to certain changes in your body. If you want to lose weight, if you want to gain muscle, yes, there is generally a prescription I could write you that's like not a literal prescription, like here are things that I think you should do. But then I also am going to say, well, what of this do you think you can do? Like, if you want to build muscle, yeah, I do need you to eat a lot of protein. But if you're a vegetarian or a vegan and most of the easy protein sources aren't just going to come natural, okay, let's not start there. That doesn't mean we're not going to come back to that conversation, but it also doesn't mean you have to start eating meat, but maybe we just start with workouts instead of your diet. And let's just start there and let's take one thing at a time. And it's hard, especially, like you said at the top of the episode, especially when you have a woman who's had a baby and they want to come back to their body and they want to feel like themselves. It feels like a rush. And so many of us feel rushed to get back to who we used to be. Even if you've never had a baby, or even if you are decades past postpartum and you just want to feel like the version of you 10 years ago, it always feels like a rush. It always feels like yesterday would have been the best day to do it. And now that I'm late.
Yes.
And that is a trap that I fall into. So I'm not sitting here on my high horse saying, don't feel that way. I'm sitting here rowing in the boat next to you saying like, that's just holding us back. Because it will happen and it can happen. And I've seen women's lives completely changed, but it always has required them to drop the arbitrary timelines and deadlines that we've given ourselves.
Absolutely. And I think that idea that this is the long game, the goal here is to connect with your body and to make this a lifelong practice.
Yeah.
And when that's the goal versus I have to, lose 47 pounds in 3 days, and so I'm going to work out 20 hours a day and I don't need sleep, that you're setting yourself up for failure. So your approach sounds like it is a really beautiful way to set yourself up for success over the long term. Because that's really what matters. What matters isn't that you can do it today. It's like, can you work with your body and integrate your body, your physical being, into the way that you choose and create your future self.
And that's such a journey. And to me, I find that so much more inspirational than someone who, some fitness trainer who has a photo shoot who just goes on this like extreme diet to get really, really lean and look really, really good for a specific day.
Right.
Or even a woman who, is getting married and does some extreme dieting in the last month to like look really good in her wedding dress. Like, to me, the beauty is in feeling confident in who you are and knowing that it's going to take time and not doing these shortcuts that never last. Trust me, I have been in this industry long enough to know that like those short-term cuts may make you feel good for a day, but then the next day comes and it's done.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately. And I think that like romanticizing the journey and finding ways that you can fall in love with the journey is the shortcut to, I think, better health and loving your body and being confident and and feeling sexy and all of the things that I think women are looking for. And I think that you've got to look at the journey then. And if it isn't romantic to you, if there isn't some joy in that journey, you've got to find a place to inject it in. Maybe you start working out with a friend. Maybe you go do group fitness. Maybe you start doing dance cardio on YouTube to some music that you like just something that's fun. And I think that so often we focus on what should we do. Oh, I want to gain muscle. So I
want to be the person who I want to be that person.
Yeah. But you also want to be happy. So like, what just makes you happy?
Yeah.
And can we do that 2 days a week? Even if it has nothing to do, even if it's counterproductive to your goal, but if it makes you happy, I actually think that that's just as important.
Absolutely. Britany, how has being a mother reshaped who you are?
Oh.
And not just the physical. I mean, if you want to talk about the physical,
sure.
Yeah, let's do that. And like, how has it reshaped who Britany Williams is?
It's interesting. I feel oddly, I have always wanted kids, and I have always felt very motivated to like, I'm doing this for my kids even before I was married or had a boyfriend or anything, of like, I want to be more from a career perspective and like a financial perspective. And now I think it's just, I want success, and I don't necessarily mean financial career success. I mean health, happiness. I want well-being, maybe is a better term, so that I can be there for her when she needs me. And also to be a role model, but I really do think more, it's just, I don't know what she is going to need out of me over the next, I'm 37, so let's say 50 years, hopefully, that I'm on this planet. So like, I just want to be prepared for what she needs. And that means financially, that means with time, that means flexibility, that means with my health. And to me, that's really where things have changed, is like, not necessarily that like, oh, I need to slow down and I'm going to work less. Like, if anything, I think I'm working more now somehow as a mom than I was before. Like, I have not slowed down when it comes to work, when it comes to my own aspirations. Like, those are still, if anything, stronger than they were before, like to do my own thing and to like still be selfish with my time, and not just give 100% to her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel very strongly about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to do it in a way because I know that will make me happy. And if I'm happy, then I can be there for her emotionally and physically, better chances over the next 50 years. Like, to me, that's the end goal.
You're a better parent when you're happy. You're
100%.
a better parent when you are
100%.
taking care of yourself. You're a better parent when you're resolving the things that need to be resolved, confronting yourself, having those conversations a few times a year and checking out where you're at. This idea that motherhood means that you remove yourself from the stage and that suddenly you become needless is just as unrealistic and unreasonable as deciding that you're going to work out 20 hours a day. Going from not working out at all to working out, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Amen. I truly feel like my identity is not a mom. It's just mom got added to the list of identities that I have. I truly, truly, truly believe that like my daughter is her own person and I am my own person. And like, yes, she is the priority in my life, but she is not more important than everything else in life. I cannot just completely stop everything in my life. I mean, long term. In the short term, yes, she needs me right now. Girl, I would say, bye, hang up, click, end this call and go get her right now, right? But in the long term, I can't just drop everything for her because she also needs to learn how to do things herself. She also needs a role model of seeing balance in her life and seeing what going after your own aspirations look like. And that could literally mean today I posted on Instagram about how I refuse to work out with my kid. And it's so cute. And sometimes I do it for content and whatever, like, oh, look, she's crawling all over me. And I'm like, no, honey, that hour is mom time.
Yeah.
I I will show her how to be a strong woman in other ways. I don't think that she has to literally sit and watch me pick up a dumbbell in order to like see a strong woman. That to me is very like that is my time and I'm not going to apologize for
Right.
needing to take an hour to work out and looking at my husband and saying, "Hey, you got it? You good on dad duty cuz mom's going to go, lift a barbell downstairs." I have zero guilt for that.
I'm so happy to hear you say that because it's so important to have our children, sons or daughters, see us as whole people. I think that this
Amen.
idea that you want your children to see you in this kind of perfect mode of being super person who's available 24/7 all the time, it's just not a great precedent to set at all for our children, and in doing that, I've had a similar approach to my children because I've always worked full time and I've always explored the things that bring me joy and fill my soul and the work that I've wanted to do. And I think it has helped my children to understand that there are aspects of who we are that only we're responsible for, right? There's
Yeah.
some taking care of ourselves that has to happen, and neglecting who you are for the sake of being like a good parent is just not, it doesn't, it helps no one. It doesn't help the child because the child has no sense of like, what can I do to take care of myself? Or, it leads, I believe, to an expectation that people just have to be showing up for them 24/7, that people are at their own disposal. So I'm glad to hear you say that. Good for you and good for your family.
And I think that it doesn't, and I think to be clear too, that I don't think it necessarily has to always be work and working out. Like my husband goes on like, I guess we'll call them like boys trips, like with his like college friends.
Yeah.
They'll go on like, they go to like an NFL game every year. And, every year it seems like he's got like work travel and then he's got this boys trip like right in the middle of like two long work trips, and the timing always couldn't be worse because it's like he's been gone for a week for work. Now he's going to go on vacation for himself for 4 days, and he always tacks on a couple days at the beginning and the end, and I'm like, wait, no, hold on, the game's on Saturday, why are we leaving on Wednesday? But every time I zip my mouth and I'm like, of course, no question, like go, because I know that that fills up his cup and his friends. He has such a good tight knit group of friends. I mean, this man texts them all day, every day, like
Yeah.
literally just his phone's blowing up all day because those men love each other to the end of life.
Yeah.
Uh, and I know that I'm like, I will never, even, we're trying for a second kid right now, and knock on wood, one day it happens. And like, even when I've got two kids, it's going to be miserable. Those days that he's like, okay, I'm off to go, gallivant with the boys. But like, I know that that's so important to him. And I know how much he loves his friends that like, hell yeah, I'll inconvenience myself for a weekend. It's going to be
Yeah.
hell. And I'm going to be bitching and moaning when you get back. like, like mom's gonna need a day, like when you get back. But of course, like I think that sometimes you cannot feel guilty for the things that you need because it's going to make you a better parent 100% of the time. And he's a wonderful parent, and I know it's because he feels fulfilled.
Yeah. And it's not forever. Like this, at this stage, this chapter of parenting, it feels like a long time, but it's very short. It's very, very short, you
It
know?
is. It is. Please, if you could remind me that while I'm trying to get my daughter to poop before we like leave for a 30-minute car ride.
I'm telling you, it doesn't last long. It feels like it when you're standing there trying to get her to poop before the car ride because you know she's going to get in the car. You're going to pull out and she's going to be like, now I want to poop.
I got to go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you,
that's where I'm at right now in parenthood.
Yeah, it does not last long at all. And just right about when you start to believe that you have perfected parenting, which is about 7.
Sure.
You're going to be like, I got this. What were they talking about? It's so easy, right? Then it turns into something else. But this period right here, it doesn't last long at all. But it is probably the most physically taxing. Like it adds on, that layer of the physical burden or, weight on you just because you're tired of chasing a kid around. It's exhausting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just from a focus and energy perspective, I think that's why I like to say, especially with workouts, like it's a phase of life.
Yeah,
like
that's it.
You are allowed to say, okay, for the next 4 years, I'm not going to work out for more than 45 minutes. And I literally have my Garmin. It has a great feature where once you start a workout, it will trigger an alarm that'll go off after my alarm set for 45 minutes. And so I like it because it's like I now use it as an alarm to say, no, stay till that alarm. Do not cut yourself short. But it also is just nice to like check in with yourself and say, okay, that's enough. It doesn't have to be an hour and a half. When I was postpartum, I set it for 20 minutes. So once that 20 minutes was done, I gave myself permission to say, that's enough.
Good for you.
I don't have to force perfection in an hour-long routine. Like this is a phase. And I knew eventually, and it took probably like a year until I was like, okay, I'm going to move that alarm out to, an hour or 45 minutes or whatever it is. And it's just giving yourself permission to recognize the phase of life that you're in. Man, as soon as you can learn that tool, it helps you in so many different aspects of your life.
It really does. Have you had a moment yet where you thought maybe I don't recognize myself?
Oh, yeah.
What'd you do? What happened and what'd you do about it?
Yeah. So there's been a couple times specific to motherhood. I mean, not early postpartum, but I would want to say like around the year mark. I was still breastfeeding. I was in this limbo of like, I'm going to do it all. I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom and a work-from-home mom. And I was working from home. Sorry, I was staying at home with my daughter, I think 2 to 3 days a week. And I had a nanny 2 to 3 days a week. And she came for maybe 6 hours a day, and like I would breastfeed and like hand my daughter back off to the nanny, and then like, film the content or write the workouts or do whatever work I had to do. And trying to balance it all, I just completely lost myself. Like just wasn't working out, was eating super poorly, and just was like physically, I mean, breastfeeding and pumping is just such a physical feat that was like, I felt like I was trying to like run a marathon while also trying to qualify for the Olympics and like basketball. Like I was trying to like do so much physically and carry all these. I just completely lost myself. And I felt completely unrecognizable because I had given up on everything that kind of like fills up my cup, my workouts, eating well, even just like playing games. Like my husband and I love like board games and stuff, like playing board games, like date nights, like everything had just gone out of the window. Seeing my friends gone out the window, listening to music gone out the window. Just, I was pure survive and like function. Maybe that's the word I'll use. Like everything was just like function. Like everything was just because I had to, not because it
function and
any
serve.
Sort of joy.
That's it. Function and serve. That's and the chapter.
Yes. Yeah. And then I just woke up and was like, whoa, like work is a very big identity thing for me. And ironic because being a content creator and an influencer, I also have like monetized myself. Like I am also my brand. So it's like in two ways. And so I said like, whoa, work is very important to me. And I have put it way too far back on the back burner, and I need more time working in order for me to feel fulfilled. So that was when we made the decision to put my daughter into daycare full time. And I don't think that there's one right or wrong way to nanny, daycare, stay-at-home mom. This is not a matter of saying what I did is what's right for other people. But it was having that moment with myself of saying like, wait a minute, you have never once ever in your life thought you were going to be a stay-at-home mom. You have
Yeah.
always wanted to be a working mom. Why in the world are you trying to balance both when balancing both brings you zero joy, zero amount of joy?
Yeah.
That's not to say I don't love time with my child. I just love it more when I've gotten some work done. Like I just am able to be a better mom when I've also been able to check off the Britany box, not just the mom box,
That's right.
on my to-do list. And so that was one time. The second time was actually this year. I took 73 days, I know, down to the number of days off from working out. I've been dealing with a chronic back injury, and just never really fully healed it, and said like, okay, like I'm going to just fully reset. And it was like the most out of shape I've gotten outside of postpartum, and feeling like a true beginner again. I think I started working out again maybe in like May, and it's now November, and I still don't feel 100%. And I have felt very out of touch with my body this year. But I kind of sometimes I'm like, this is good though, as a fitness trainer, because I think a lot of times fitness trainers they haven't been not at their peak fitness shape in so long that it can become hard to connect with other people, and it can become hard to remember what it's like to be intimidated by a barbell, and to be intimidated by the gym, and to not want to just sit here with my sports bra on and say like, okay guys, here are the 6x exercises for 6-pack abs. Like, it makes you human.
Right.
And so while it's been really hard physically this year to like feel confident in my job because of that, I also know that it helps me relate to people more. Like, I just don't want to see the perfect fitness trainer selling me a workout. It's just not what I want to see personally. Yeah. I would much prefer someone who is like, I don't know how to do this, or like, I'm learning this for the first time, or just being realistic. I struggle with this, or like, my form's not perfect. Like, I will get people who will hate on my form sometimes, like, oh, you should have been doing this, like on Instagram. And I'm just like, I never sat here and said I was perfect at every single exercise.
Right.
Like, I can still show, like, my form's not bad enough that if someone tries to mimic me, they're not going to hurt themselves.
Yeah.
But like, I'm never going to sit here and say that my form is perfect in absolutely everything. I will always admit when I'm wrong. I always have something to learn. And I feel much more at ease, at peace with myself with that mindset as a fitness trainer than I want you to aspire to be me because I'm perfect kind of mindset.
Yeah. And I think that you've also been very open and transparent about the fact that this is a lifelong journey. And so for those folks who have this expectation that a person who is going through her own life, having children, getting married, doing all these things that we all, that many of us experience in life, to have this expectation that you're supposed to be just perfect all the time is unrealistic. And I think that's more of a reflection of this kind of external validation that people look for than it is like really living in the presence of what's happening for you right then and there. All right, can we talk a moment about setting the vibe? If you're anything like me, your space needs to feel good in order for you to feel good. And that's why I created the Shaping Freedom line of candles. It's not just about ambiance, but really about how you align yourself internally. These are more than just candles. They shift your energy. Whether you're journaling, meditating, working out, or just taking a moment for yourself, these scents are curated to ground you, lift you up, and bring you back home to yourself. They also have an 80-hour burn time and scents that are designed to evoke feelings of alignment and internal congruency. And we can all use that. Go to shop.shapingfreedom.com and check them out. Find the one that speaks to your spirit, or buy all 4, and let them burn with intention. You have spoken about your journey with postpartum depression. And I know that you've also created some routines for people, for women to help them through that. Can
Hmm.
you speak a little bit about that journey, just for those folks
Yeah.
who are listening, who either know someone who could be experiencing postpartum or who are feeling that themselves? Is there anything to say to those folks?
Yeah. Oh, there's so much to say. I mean, I think first, recognizing how common postpartum depression, anxiety, rage is. I think that I didn't experience postpartum rage, but I've had a few friends who have experienced it. And like, I had never heard that as a thing, but it is a very, very real thing. And I truly believe that luckily we are in a day and age where women no longer are being quiet about postpartum depression, anxiety, and the things that you can go through during
Yeah.
that time. And I really, really, really encourage women who are going through it to speak about it. I do believe that going and seeing a professional, I am not a professional in that space, but I think finding a professional in that space is so helpful. But even if it's not something that is affordable for you, or that's not something that you have access to, having some sort of support system who isn't your partner who's also going through it in the moment, who's like in the
With
weeds
you.
with you when it
Yeah.
comes to postpartum, I think is really helpful. I think there's some great tools online as well, or communities online that can help, because I absolutely think that talking about it helps. I think not trying to ignore it, leaning into it. And like for me, when I was going through my postpartum depression, I sat my husband down and I said, I need to just tell you how I feel. And I
Mm.
need you to not question it. I need you to not say, well, that's illogical or irrational. Like he's a scientist. He's very like very rational. I'm like I am an emotional person and I need you to just see my emotion and my feelings as fact.
Yeah.
And having that conversation with him just allowed him to give me space and to like hold me emotionally and literally, but hold me emotionally. And I think the more people that you can have in your life holding you emotionally is never a bad thing, but especially during, I think, one of the loneliest times. I think one of the loneliest times in that process is like pregnancy, first trimester, when you haven't told anyone and you're scared every single day of like of what's going to happen. That's really lonely. And then the second time is when like the meal trains stop and people stop checking in on the baby and people stop. It's like, maybe like 3 months to like 6 months. Like the baby's not old enough to be like walking and hitting all these cute milestones that you can share on the internet. There is this like no man's land
It's the
time of
cocoon
postpartum.
time. It's that cocoon
Uh-huh.
time. And it's
Where
just
it's like,
you and that baby
yes, and people
crying.
kind of
Yeah.
forgotten. Yeah, you could kind of forgotten that you had a baby 3 months ago. Maybe you're back at work trying to
Yeah.
make that happen, but you're not like, oh, she's walking, and so you have something fun to talk about. It's just this really hard time, and I try to support women during that time in a big way. So I have a program called Core and Restore, which is a restorative core program. It's to help rebuild the abdominal wall and your core, your posture, your pelvic floor from a physical perspective. That's my calling
Mm-hmm.
card, so to speak, as a fitness trainer. But one of the things I love about this program is that I recorded it in real time as a postpartum woman. So like flew to Australia, like postpartum, and I was like, okay, because I do all my filming in Australia, and I was like, okay, like this is gonna be raw and real. We're not gonna do cuts just because I did something wrong. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to be real and open and honest about what I am feeling in the moment as a postpartum woman, and that was really important for me so that someone could log into their workout, and the workouts at the beginning are like 10 minutes. Like they're literally like, I just want you to log in and not feel like you're logging into a workout, but just that you're catching up with a friend.
Yeah.
And we happen to be improving our core and our diastasis recti and all the things at the same time. And like feeling not alone is, I think, the number one thing I can provide women during that time. Yes, I want to help you rehab your abs and I want to help you get back to a healing space in your body and feeling good. Sure, of course. But I really want you to feel seen and heard and loved and supported and know that you're not broken. And I think that that's what I try with my platform to provide. Again, knowing that I'm not a therapist and I can't say like, hey, I can fix it. I can at least support, again, like that, like 3 to 6, 9 months, like that to me is when I just want to like hug women and like come into my world so I can just, remind you that you're powerful and beautiful and strong and that like this is a phase and you'll get through it.
Do you think that that's part of the reason why this strong community of women have come to you? Is it because of what they're getting in the workout, obviously, but also outside of the physical aspects of the workout?
Oh yeah, I truly think my uniqueness is in my ability to be very real
Mm-hmm.
about working out and the process of being healthy, and now the process and now becoming a mom is the reality of that. Of I will complain in the middle of my workout that I'm asking you to do. Like I will complain about it being hard.
Yeah.
I don't see her, come on, girls, you're doing great. Girl power. Like that's not me. I'm like, okay, hun, I'm just gonna let you know this next one's gonna suck. Deal with it. It's for 30 seconds. We can do this. It's like I try to be very real. I also try not to just show the positives. Now I'm not one to like pull up a camera when I'm crying. Like I'm not very, I don't try to be performative about it, but perfect example is when I was diagnosed with preeclampsia, or severe type of preeclampsia called HELP, at 32 weeks and delivered at 32 weeks. And I like went not live, posted a story on Instagram every single day for the 30 days that my daughter was in the NICU. And I've saved it on my Instagram stories for forever. And I'm scared that one day Instagram is going to get rid of like story highlights and I'm going to lose that little cluster. But so many people, it's been 2.5 years, comment and respond to
Still,
those stories
yeah.
that I have saved, because they can go from the very first day where I'm like, I think something's wrong, we're at the hospital, to we made it, we're home with our baby, and literally every up and down of that journey. And I was like, literally from the silly stuff to like, no one talks about how hard your first poop is postpartum, like talking about that, but then also talking about like the test that my daughter was going through and not gaining weight as a preemie, and just being real about it. Like being real about responding, like coming back from a C-section. Like, what do you mean you can't walk up the stairs after a C-section? I didn't know that. No one told me. And I work with pregnancy and postpartum women.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like just saying that out loud, I think the world needs more women willing to talk about the things that women go through. And that's really, I think, what makes me and my space unique. Sure, the workouts, but at the end of the day, like there's a countless amount of good qualified fitness trainers. What I really try to be, and where I try to be unique, is to be real about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like just having a realistic approach, laughing at yourself when you laugh at yourself, admitting the weird stuff that happens. And again, finding the humor in being human is like, that's my calling card. And I think that if we're not having fun and laughing and giggling a little bit about something, because it's not just a moaning fest, like a lot of it is like, I'm going to poke fun at like the seriousness of things, because it's just, we all go through it. We all go through it. And I don't want women to feel alone.
Yeah. What kind of emotional and mental legacy are you leaving for your children?
Oh,
for your child, for your daughter?
Yeah. I think the first word that comes to mind is a word I've already used today, but tenacity.
Yeah.
That really, if there's one thing that I want someone to say, what was Britany? Like what name, describe Britany in one word, on her tombstone. Tenacious is one that really, really hits home for me. I think, especially knowing I was a preemie, I was born 8 weeks early. My daughter was born 8 weeks early. I think that we just kind of started in a little bit of a hole, and it's like, you're gonna get there, everything's gonna be fine, like she's fine, I'm fine, but like I want her to look at obstacles similar to what I did with rheumatoid arthritis, and said like, yeah, I got this. Yeah. Like, it's gonna be hard, I don't know how I'm gonna get there, like this is gonna be a real bumpy ride, but like we're gonna be okay. Like if I can teach her that, to me, man, the world is your oyster.
That's right.
Because I can't predict every hardship she's going to have, but I know that they're going to happen. No matter how well I can set her up emotionally or financially or any of the things, she will have hardships. So for me, if I can emotionally teach her how to overcome hardship, I don't even want to say overcome, to endure, how to not lose yourself despite hardship, like that's what I think I want my legacy to be, and doing it in a way that is, I hesitate to say the word fun, because hardships aren't fun, but in a way that's still lighthearted. I want her to be able to giggle and not lose her light just because there are some negatives in life. Humor is a very big part of my life and part of my brand, of just like we got to still have some fun. We got to still be able to kiki and giggle no matter what's going on in the world and in life. And so I think those two things are what I would want my legacy to be.
What are you learning about yourself right now?
Oh, that I really need to, I would say that I need to slow down, but I need to slow down. I need to build more of a roller coaster in my year, meaning I always at some point burn myself out. Always. I take on too much. I'm go, go, go. Just, it's going to happen. And I think I need to allow it to happen because it's just my nature. But then I need to plan for downtime after it. Realistically. And I started a little bit this year. I started taking 1 week off, kind of a staycation, once a quarter. This quarter, I'm so busy that it didn't happen. So I promised myself that I would take off Fridays. So through the month of December, that also isn't going to happen. So now they're being pushed to January. But it's like one of those like, okay, I now need to, you think of people vision boarding, you think of people doing New Year's resolutions. I just need to do a better job of saying, where is life going to be peak level busy? And that can be in career, or it can be from a parenting perspective. And like, where can I build out actual, and I don't mean rest, because it's not necessarily that I take off time of work. It's just where I allow myself to be creative. Like, just don't put anything on the calendar. And if I just want to experiment with a new editing style, or maybe I want to learn, something new about email marketing. I'm trying to think of, or maybe I want to learn yoga, like just something that's just, or I'm thinking about taking up Spanish again, like just take some time to do something that it can still feel productive. Because I'm that kind of person that if it doesn't feel productive, then like, why the hell are we doing it? It's a problem. I'm working on it in therapy. But that downtime, let it be down where there's not a deliverable, there's not a deadline. I know that's hard if you're in the corporate world, but I think like, even looking at like the holidays, like, okay, could you, if you have to take 2 weeks off because your kids are out of school, like, can one of those weeks, you work with your partner where like you take a couple of the days where you don't have to be mom.
Yeah.
And you can go and do something. Taking more vacations by yourself, like truly taking off a Friday in May, just cause.
Yeah.
Not because you have something to go do. For me, that's really what I'm working on, is like resting more, not slowing down, but just taking the time to rest when I can do it, and doing it on my own terms. Not, I'm going to go vacation, because when you go on a vacation with a kid, it's a trip.
Yeah, it's a trip.
I love my daughter, but it's a trip.
It's a trip.
Yeah. It's a trip. And so I think for me, it's allowing myself to ramp up, allowing myself to burn out, no matter how controversial that sounds, just making sure I'm protecting myself on the backside.
Yeah, it's giving yourself space.
Yeah.
It's like wherever you can integrate space into what's happening, the easier it is for you to step into that next thing.
Yeah, I just don't think it's realistic to tell women to like work less or to like not be as so stressed in this day and age. Like I just don't think
that
it's realistic.
doesn't help.
It'd be nice.
That
exactly.
doesn't help.
Like
it just
like
doesn't help.
Telling me, yeah, you're doing too much. I'm like, I'm self-employed. Like I am the bookkeeper, the fitness trainer. I do the content, I do the editing, I do the emails. Like I'm doing too much because like I'm a one-woman show. Yeah. Hopefully one day I will hire someone to help me, but like until then, it's me. Like I'm all the people. And so telling myself that I need to slow down or to drop something, I think is just not realistic. I just need to again build in more pause.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I think for me, the answer to that is, for myself, is the tribe that I'm around, right? And so I have people around me who are in the same grind that I'm in. They may be doing it differently and, maybe in different industries, but it's really important to me to have people around me and to be within the midst of people who understand, because I don't want to hear that, the advice of like, well, just slow down. Because it's like,
just slow down.
What?
Yeah. Like, no,
you don't understand my life. So being around people that understand your life, I think is imperative to joy.
Yeah, I completely agree, and that's really something that you've inspired me now for 2026 of like I've got great friends, but I think very few of them understand my business drive and my career drive, and I think that that's something that I have a business mentor and a business coach, and she very much feels like a friend, but I'm also paying her. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's like I need more people that are like-minded like her that are truly just friends. And I think you always think of networking as like, oh, I got to get the next connection. To me, it's not that. It's just people who understand um the grind and the drive.
What you're up to. It's people who understand what you're up to, and people who
Yes. Yeah.
understand that the life of an entrepreneur is not the life of a person who works for corporate. It just is not. And it's not good or
And it's
bad.
not better. It's not worth
Yeah,
exactly.
it's not
Yep.
good or
It's just
bad,
different.
but it is what it is. And so
Yep.
put yourself in the spaces where you get fed from those folks who are like-minded and who are doing the same thing, because it
Yep.
also helps the relationships with folks who are doing something different, because then you're
Amen.
not putting it on them,
You're not putting it on them.
because you don't
Exactly.
expect for them to
Exactly.
fill that, to fill that part of your life for you. So for me,
Yeah.
I learned really early on. I've been at a corporate now since 2008, and or I've been in my own corporate since 2008, and that's one of the things that I realized very early on, and that was like, I need to have like-minded people around me, because the folks that are my friends were my friends who worked within corporate and just had a different life. They thought I was bonkers, and so the energy that went into trying to debate or explain was, not the best use of my time or for them to listen.
Yeah. And that to me, I think is a really big one, especially as a content creator. It sounds like you're not doing anything when you explain what your day is. Like, what do you mean you just made videos all day? You know what I'm saying? Like, that sounds fun. And like, and especially because my brand has so much humor in it. Like, and it is fun, but if you have ever sat down to edit a video of hours of footage into a 30-second reel, hun, it isn't. Or like, I have my own podcast and I do all my own editing, like listening back to myself and editing
Yeah.
and doing I'm like, that is a grind.
You're working.
Mm-hmm.
You're working.
And
I have
so,
people
and I
say
think
that, like,
yeah, and people are like, oh,
you
it's just
fly all over the
it must just be
place.
so fun talking to people all day.
It
And you're
must be
like,
so great to like, do all this traveling. I'm like, have you noticed that I'm not like, hey, I'm in Bali? Have you noticed that it's like I'm doing the
traveling
cross
for
country
work
thing?
is something I used to travel when I worked for Under Armour. I traveled. There was a different amount of time, but there was a time where I traveled 4 days out of the week, and I was like in the office on every Friday.
Yeah.
And that was like my one day. Oh, it's a grind. I mean, I have seen 90, like up and down I-95. I have seen it. I have been to, whenever people are like, oh, I'm from a small town in New Jersey. I'm like, where, girl?
Because
I know it.
I've driven through it.
I've been to every small town in New Jersey. Trust me. Like, it's a grind.
It is.
And people just, oh, you're jet setting, and oh, you got to go see Niagara Falls, and you got to go to some posh place in New York. I'm like, yeah, but like I haven't
You were working.
seen my bed,
and I want to sleep in my bed.
3 weeks.
I kind of like my bed. I really
also
do.
like, that was at the time when I was single. Like, I also would like a stable relationship, but I'm not home enough to find anyone.
Exactly. Oh, I know that.
Yeah.
That's a completely different episode. Don't take me down that road, Britany, because I'm trying to wrap this up. Two quick questions. If a woman is feeling disconnected from her body or from herself, like, where is a good place for her to start? Can you give her like, a couple of tips?
Yeah. This is going to sound a little woo-woo, but your breath. Mm-hmm. I think that is the first place I would start. And this is silly, but I took it from a client of mine. If people never take the time to just slow down and check in with their breath. And so I told her to start doing it when she went to the toilet. Like, just every time you sit down to pee, you're going to be there for 15 seconds. Close your eyes and just inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 2 seconds, and exhale for 4 seconds. Like, it doesn't even have to be that. It can just be your normal case, but that allows you to check in with yourself.
Yeah.
I think that once you can plant that seed of, I'm the kind of person who checks in with herself, then it can become, I'm the type of woman who takes 10 minutes of movement. What does movement mean, Britany? It could mean walking. It could mean yoga. It could mean stretching in bed while you're still with your eye mask on, and you're bonded on. It does not have to look like a workout. I think that the slow build to, okay, once you become the kind of woman who takes 10 minutes to stretch in bed with her bonnet on, you can become the woman who then works up to a 20-minute workout with or without dumbbells. And then eventually it slow rolls. I think first becoming the woman who can check in with how her body feels in a moment, who can listen to her body. That is the foundation that I say start with before you try to get the gym membership, do all of the things. Like, just prove to yourself that you can check in with yourself and be still with yourself. That is the starting point that no one starts with. But gosh, it would do so much good if more women started there. I think especially if you're listening to this and you are postpartum, or if you're pregnant and you will be postpartum, I think that and my postpartum program does start the first 3 weeks. You really are just breathing. You're laying there, you're breathing, you're checking in, because that is the foundation to your body. And working out is and feeling good is being able to register how your body feels.
Yeah. Last question, Britany, how can we support you?
Oh man, just by listening to this call, it feels supportive, or not call, but podcast feels supportive. But you can find me on Instagram at Britany Williams. It's spelled Britany. You also can go to BritanyWilliams.com. I have plenty of opportunities. I have different guides on metabolism, consistency training. I also do a twice a year small group consistency coaching, and it's called the Routine Reset, where I work on adjusting women's routine to fit what their goals are as a group. But I would say Instagram is probably the best place to start, or my website, BritanyWilliams.com. I have loads of resources for women who are just trying to connect with themselves. And then if you want to work out with me, you can download the Sweat app. All my workouts are exclusive there, and they're all done to be at home with a pair of dumbbells and a smile on your face. And I always say, if you don't have a smile on your face when you start your workout, we're at least going to get you one by the end. That's my goal.
I love that. I love that. Britany Williams, thank you so much. Britany with one T. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and chat with me. Thank you for your generosity in sharing so many things about your journey that I know that the folks who are listening will hopefully have, be taking notes on. And thank you. There are a couple of things that you said in this conversation that I think are really important for people to know. One is, this is a lifelong thing.
Yeah.
Right? Get rid of this idea that fitness is about your ability to get through a 30-day challenge. Those are great. If you want to integrate those, that's a great way for you to, shake things up. But if fitness is something that you really want to be, then it is a lifelong journey. Take your time with it. The other thing that you said that I thought was incredibly important is how motherhood is also a lifelong thing. And you're better, your family's better, and your children are better when they get the opportunity and the gift of knowing who you really are, not who you're performing for them to see.
Exactly.
And then the third thing is taking the time for yourself and not taking things or yourself so seriously. Just starting with a smile. Starting with a smile and some breath has rewards that no, intense 4-hour workout is going to get you. It's the simple
It's
things.
Not going to help. Yep.
It's the simple things.
I think starting there's nothing like and it doesn't have to be breath. It just checking in with yourself. I think it's going to set you up for so much success in whatever you're going to try to do in life. It's a great skill to have.
So thank you so much to those who are listening. Britany, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate and have enjoyed
Thank you for having
the
me.
time that we've spent with each other here today. And for those of you who are listening, as always, please share, tell somebody. If you know someone in your circle that can benefit from hearing Britany's words, please let them know about this episode. We're all in this together. So thank you so much for listening. This is Lisane Basquiat of the Shaping Freedom podcast. Love and peace, and be well until we meet again.